My name is Kara. I am 27 years old. I live in a big house with my parents, but I do not feel at home there. My parents like big rooms, big cars, and big parties. They think money can fix everything. They think money can give peace. But I know it cannot. Every week they plan a new event. Every week they invite many rich people. Every week they say the same thing to me. Look perfect, smile, and make us proud. I hear these words again and again until I feel tired inside. One morning I woke up and saw 10 messages from my mother. She wrote, "Remember the party tomorrow. Many important guests will come. Be ready." My head felt heavy. I sat on my bed and looked at the screen. Why do they not ask me what I want? Why do they only tell me what they want? I put my phone down and looked out the window. The sky was bright and soft, but my heart was not. My parents want me to marry a rich man named Oliver. He is young, tall, and always wears shiny clothes. People in our circle call him a good match, but he is not a good match for me. When he talks to me, he only speaks about his cars, his hotels, and his trips. He never asks about my life. He never listens when I speak. He just smiles and talks about himself. My parents say I should be happy with him because he has money and status. They say he can give me a safe future, but I do not want a safe future if it is empty. I want someone who stays with me because he cares, not because it looks good in photos. My father always says, "You will thank us later." My mother says, "You do not understand life yet." Every word makes me feel small. I want to make my own choice. I want to choose love, not fear. But in my house, my voice seems too quiet. That afternoon, I sat in the living room while workers prepared things for the party. They moved chairs, carried lights, and talked about the menu. Everyone was busy except me. I felt like a guest in my own life. Then something strange happened. A thought came to me fast and strong. I wanted to smile, but I tried to hide it. What if I play a small trick? Just one. What if I bring someone to the party and surprise my parents? Maybe then they will stop telling me what to do. Maybe then they will see I have my own mind. But who could help me? I did not want someone from my world. I wanted someone different, someone who would not fear my parents or act like them. I left the house and walked to the park near the main road. The air was warm and soft. Children were playing on the grass. Birds were moving near the trees. I walked to the small pond in the center of the park. Then I saw him. A man sat on a bench near the water. His clothes were old and a little dirty. His shoes looked worn. He held a small bag beside him. He looked calm and quiet. He was not asking for money or food. He was just sitting and looking at the pond as if the world did not push him the way it pushed me. For a moment I wanted to walk away, but something told me to stay. I looked at him again. He looked back. His eyes were dark, but soft. I felt something. Maybe not fear, not worry, but curiosity. I walked closer and said, "Hello." He looked surprised. I think people do not speak to him often. I took a deep breath. My voice felt strange, but I said, "I need help." He said nothing, but he listened. I told him there was a party tomorrow. I told him my parents wanted me to spend the night with Oliver. I told him I did not want that. Then I said the idea out loud for the first time. "I want you to come with me. Please pretend to be my boyfriend for one night." He blinked and looked at me as if he wanted to laugh. "Are you serious?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "I can pay you. I only need one night." He stopped smiling. His face became calm again. "Why me?" he asked. I looked at the pond and said, "Because you are not from my world. You will not try to impress anyone. You will not try to act rich. You will just be you." He looked at me for a long moment. Then he said, "If you are sure, I can help." My heart jumped. I felt a strange mix of fear and joy. I thanked him and gave him the time and address. He told me his name was Milan. It was a simple name. I liked it. The next day passed slowly. I told my driver to pick Milan up from the park. When the car reached my house, 2 assistants looked at him with wide eyes. They whispered to each other. One said, "Who is that? His clothes look terrible." I said, "He is my guest. Please help him prepare." They took him inside. I heard them talk about hair, clothes, and shoes. I could feel their confusion, but for the first time in a long time, I felt calm. Hours later, I was waiting in my room when I heard a knock. I opened the door. My mouth almost opened in shock. I did not recognize him at first. Milan now wore clean, simple clothes. His hair was neat, his shoes were new, but more than all that, his face looked fresh and bright. He smiled and said, "Is this good for the role?" I felt warm inside and said, "Yes, it is perfect." We left for the party. The car moved through the city lights. I did not know this man well, but I felt safe near him. I felt like I could breathe. When we arrived at the party, music filled the hall. The room was full of people in soft suits and bright dresses. When we stepped inside, the music stopped for a second. People turned to look at us. My parents stood near the main table. Their eyes grew sharp and cold. My mother asked in a low voice, "Kara, who is this?" I said, "This is my boyfriend. His name is Milan." My father stared at him from head to toe. He said nothing. Then Oliver walked toward us with a hard smile. He looked angry. "So this is your boyfriend?" he asked. "He looks very different." I was about to speak, but Milan spoke first. "Maybe I do not have much," he said, "but I have respect." The room became quiet. I felt my heart beat fast in my chest. My father finally said, "Dinner is ready. Sit." Milan and I sat next to each other. People kept looking at us, but Milan stayed calm. He did not fidget. He did not look scared. He just sat with quiet eyes as if he belonged there. But the calm did not last. Oliver came to our table again. His face was red now. He said, "You think this man can replace me? You are making a joke, Kara." Before I could answer, my father said, "Enough. Come with me." He took my arm and led me outside to the garden. His voice was low but sharp. "This ends tonight. You will not embarrass our family." My hands shook, but I kept my head up. I said, "This is not a joke. I just want to choose my own life." My father stared at me. He had never heard me speak like this. Before he could reply, I heard steps behind me. It was Milan. He said, "Sir, please listen to her." My father turned to him with anger in his eyes. "You do not belong here," he said. Milan looked at him and said, "Maybe not. But she asked me to come, so I am here." My father did not answer. He turned away and walked back to the house. The garden became quiet. I let out a slow breath. I looked at Milan. "Thank you," I said. "You did not have to do that." He looked at me as if he wanted to tell me something. That is when his face changed. He said, "Kara, there is something you do not know about me." Before he could finish, someone called my name from inside the house. Before I continue rest of the story, please like, subscribe, share, and tell me where you are listening from. Your support means a lot to me. Now let's continue. I turned to the house when I heard my mother call my name, but my mind stayed on Milan's last words. "There is something you do not know about me." The way he said it made my heart feel tight. I wanted to ask him what he meant, but the moment was gone. I took a slow breath and walked back inside. The lights were bright again, the music soft, the people loud. But inside me, everything felt quiet and unsure. My mother walked to me fast. Her face looked calm in front of the guests, but her eyes were sharp. She said, "Smile, Kara. People are watching." She held my arm too tightly. I pulled my arm away and said, "I am fine." Then she looked past me, toward Milan, who was still standing near the door. Her face changed again. She whispered, "You must end this. Not now. Not ever. Bring that man near us and you will destroy our name." I felt a wave of heat in my chest. For years I stayed silent. For years I said nothing. But tonight, something in me changed. I said, "He is not hurting anyone. He is my guest." My mother looked shocked. She opened her mouth to speak, but a group of guests walked by, so she smiled again like nothing was wrong. She said, "We will talk later." Then she moved away. I stood alone for a moment. I looked at the room. People whispered to each other and stared at Milan. Their eyes were full of questions. Who is he? Why is he here? How does he know her? I felt sad. Why do people think only money makes a person important? Why do they judge before they listen? Milan walked toward me. His steps were slow and calm. He said, "Are you okay?" I nodded, but he saw the truth in my face. He said, "Your parents are angry. I can leave if you want." I shook my head. "No. Stay. You did nothing wrong." He looked down for a moment, then back at me. He said softly, "You are stronger than you think." We went back to our seats. People still stared, but I tried to ignore them. A waiter brought food to our table. Milan thanked him with a warm smile. I saw the waiter's eyes soften. Someone in this room finally treated him like a real person. When we started eating, Oliver came again. He took a seat across from us without asking. His voice was low and angry. "This is not funny, Kara." I did not answer. I kept looking at my plate. Oliver leaned closer and said, "You think this man cares about you? He is here for your money." I lifted my head. I said, "You do not know him." Oliver laughed. He said, "People like him always want something." Before I could speak, Milan looked at him calmly and said, "Maybe you should look at yourself first." Oliver's face turned red. He stood up and walked away fast. People looked at him, then at us, then whispered even more. I felt my face warm with stress, but Milan stayed steady. After dinner, some guests went outside to the garden. Some danced. Some took photos. I wanted a moment alone, so I walked toward the back door. Milan followed me a few steps behind, giving me space but staying close enough to help if something happened. I liked that. It made me feel safe, not controlled. Outside, the air was fresh. The lights in the garden were soft and warm. I sat on a small bench near a tall plant. Milan stood near me, waiting quietly. I looked up at him and said, "You wanted to tell me something earlier. What was it?" He sat down slowly beside me. His hands were on his lap. His voice was low. "I was not always like this," he said. I looked at him, confused. He continued, "1 year ago, my life was very different. I had money, a home, a job in a big company, a car, everything. My heart jumped. This was not what I expected." "Why did you leave it?" I asked. He looked at the garden lights like they could tell him what to say. He said, "My life was full, but I was not. I did not know who liked me for me. People were kind when I had money. They were cold when I did not. I wanted to know how people treat a man with nothing. So I left everything. I lived on the street. I worked small jobs. I slept in parks. I wanted to see the truth." I stared at him. My chest felt heavy, but not in a bad way. It felt like something inside me was opening. I said, "So when I met you, you were—" He finished my sentence. "Yes. I was living simple. I was learning how people look at someone who has no money." I felt something warm spread through me. I asked, "Why did you help me then? Why say yes?" He looked at me with soft eyes. When you spoke to me, you did not look away. You did not judge my clothes. You did not speak with fear or pride. You were just real. I liked that. My eyes filled with tears. Not sad tears, just full tears. I said, "But why did you not tell me earlier?" He smiled gently. "You did not ask who I was. You only asked for help. I wanted to see where your heart is. I was not testing you. I was testing myself." I felt my heart beat faster. I looked at him for a long moment. I wanted to say something, but the words stayed inside. Before I could speak, the garden door opened. It was my father. His face was tight with anger. He walked toward us. His voice was cold. "Kara, come inside. Now." I stood up, but Milan stood up too. I could feel the tension in the air. My father looked at Milan and said, "You are not welcome here. You must leave at once." Milan did not move. He did not look afraid. He said, "Sir, I mean no harm. I am here because she asked me." My father stepped closer. His voice became louder. "Leave. Now." My breath shook. I wanted to speak, but fear held my mouth. I felt small again. I felt like the same girl who never had a voice. But Milan stood calm beside me. He did not raise his voice. He did not step back. He said, "She is not a child. Let her speak." And that moment, something inside me changed again. I took a slow breath. I looked at my father, and I finally spoke. But the night was not over. The truth was coming, but not yet. Not here. I looked at my father. My hands were shaking, but this time I did not hide them. I took a slow breath. I said, "Father, please listen. I am not a child. I can make my own choices." My father's face changed. He looked hurt, surprised, and angry all at once. He said, "Kara, you do not understand life. This man has nothing. He cannot give you a future. You are making a mistake." For many years I stayed quiet when he spoke like this, but not tonight. I said, "Maybe he has no money, but he has honesty. He listens. He treats people with respect. I need that more than a big house." My voice was small, but it was clear. My father did not expect that. He stepped back a little. The garden became silent. Even the music inside the house sounded far away. My mother came outside. She saw us and hurried over. She said, "Kara, stop this. People will talk. Think of our name. Think of our family." I turned to her. I said, "I am thinking of myself for the first time." My mother looked at me as if she did not know who I was. I felt my chest hurt, but I kept speaking. I said, "I am tired of doing what looks good. I want what feels true." My mother looked at my father. They stayed quiet for a moment. Then my father said softly, "Come inside. We will talk tomorrow." His voice was not angry now. It was tired. He walked away with my mother. For the first time in my life, I saw fear in their steps. Fear of losing control. Fear of losing me. When they went back into the house, the garden felt quiet again. I sat on the bench slowly. My heart felt weak, but also free. Milan sat beside me. He asked, "Are you okay?" I nodded. Yes, but my voice shook. I looked up at the sky and said, "I never spoke to them like that before." Milan smiled a little. He said, "You were brave." I turned to him. The question in my heart came out before I could stop it. I said, "What will you do now? Will you go back to your old life? Will you return to your world?" Milan looked at the lights in the garden again. He took a deep breath. He said, "I am not sure. My old life had money and power, but it had no peace. This simple life showed me who I really am." I asked, "Do you want to stay simple forever?" He looked at me with warm eyes. He said, "Maybe I can live in both worlds. Maybe I can work again, but with a new heart. Maybe I can build something honest this time." I liked the sound of that. It felt real, not big, not loud, just real. Then he looked at me more closely. He said, "But I need to ask you something too." My heart began to beat fast. I said, "What is it?" He said, "If I return to my old life, will you think I am a different man? If I stay simple, will you think I am not enough?" I felt my eyes fill with soft tears. I said, "I do not care if you have money or not. I cared when you listened to me. I cared when you stood beside me. That is enough for me." Milan let out a slow breath, like he had been holding it inside for a long time. We sat in silence for a moment. Then the garden door opened again. It was Oliver. His face was not angry now. It was confused, almost lost. He said, "Kara, I need to talk to you." I stood up, but Milan stayed beside me. Oliver looked at him and said, "Not with him." I shook my head. I said, "If you want to talk, say it here." Oliver looked down. He said, "I did not want to hurt you. I just thought we were a good match. Our families wanted it. People expected it." I said, "That is the problem. I do not want a life that is only expectations. I want a life that feels true." Oliver nodded slowly. He looked tired. He said, "I understand now." Then he walked away. For the first time, I felt no anger toward him, only relief. When he left, the garden became quiet again. Milan looked at me. His voice was soft. He said, "What will you do now?" I looked at the house. I could see shadows of guests moving inside. I could hear soft music, but I did not feel pulled toward it. I said, "I will live my own life. I will choose for myself." He smiled, a warm, gentle smile. He said, "Then you already took the first step." We walked toward the main gate of my house. The night air was cool and soft. When we reached the gate, he stopped. He said, "If you want me to stay in your life, I will. If you want me to go back and build a new path, I will do that too. Just say the word." I looked at him. This man, who had nothing when I met him, gave me something no one else ever gave me: choice, freedom, respect. I said, "Stay. Let us see where life takes us. One day at a time." Milan nodded and took my hand. Not tightly, not with fear, just with quiet trust. We walked into the night, away from the noise, away from the old rules, away from the life others planned for me. I did not know what future waited for us, but I knew one thing. For the first time in my life, the choice was mine. Thank you for listening to this story. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video and subscribe to English Medium Stories. Stay with us for more classic stories in easy English. My name is Sarah. I am 35 years old. My life has never been easy. I have 2 children. My daughter's name is Rosa, and she is 11 years old. My son's name is Daniel, and he is 7 years old. They are my whole world. Everything I do is for them. I wake up every day because of them. I keep going because I want them to have a good life. When I was young, I lost my mother. She was sick, and one day she did not wake up. A few years later, my father died too. I felt alone in the world. I thought life could not hurt me more, but I was wrong. Life still had more pain for me. When I was 22, I got married. I was young, and I believed in love. I thought my marriage would last forever. My husband's name was Adam. He was kind in the beginning. He made me laugh. We dreamed about our future. I thought we would build a happy home together. For some years, life was peaceful. We had Rosa, and later we had Daniel. I thought we were a family. But slowly, Adam changed. He came home late. He did not smile. He did not speak much. One day he sat down with a cold face. He told me that he did not love me anymore. Then he left. Daniel was only 2 years old. There were no calls, no help, no support, nothing. He walked away and never looked back. After that day, it was only me and my children. We live in a small apartment in a place called Riverdale. It is not a big home. The walls are old and the rooms are small, but it is our home, and I try my best to make it warm and safe. Some months paying the rent feels impossible. I count every coin. I worry every night. I do not have a college degree, so I do not have many job choices, but I cannot give up. I cannot sit and cry all day. My children need me. They need food, clothes, and a roof over their heads. So I work every day. My main job is as a home nurse. I take care of sick and old people. I give them medicine. I cook simple meals for them. I help them move. I wash some clothes. I talk to them when they feel lonely. Some days I feel proud of my work because I help people, but the money is not enough to pay all the bills. So I work more. I clean homes and offices too. I do not work with a company or an agency. It is just me. I carry my cleaning tools in a small old bag. I walk from place to place. I clean floors, tables, chairs, and bathrooms. I clean until my back hurts and my hands shake. Some people I work for are kind. They say thank you. They give me water or tea. But some people are rude. Some act like I am not a person. Some do not pay the full amount. Some close the door fast after I finish. It hurts, but I still continue. I have no choice. I need money for my children. I need money for food and for school things. Even when I am sick, I still go to work. Even when I am tired, I still stand and clean. Even when I want to cry, I still smile at my children and tell them it will be okay. At night, after Rosa and Daniel fall asleep, I sit beside their bed. I look at their small faces. I hold their hands. I kiss their cheeks. I whisper to them. I say, one day we will have a better life. One day I will give them more. This dream keeps me strong. It keeps me moving every single day. One cold night, everything changed. I had just finished work. I was very tired. My feet hurt. My back hurt. I wanted to go home fast. It was raining hard. The rain felt sharp on my face. The wind was strong and cold. Rosa held my left hand. Daniel held my right hand. They walked close to me to stay warm. Daniel whispered that he was cold. I pulled him near me and wrapped my scarf around him. I told him we were almost home. I tried to walk faster, but the road was dark and wet. The street was empty. There were no cars or people around. The only sound was the rain hitting the ground. Then suddenly a bright light came from the side. I did not understand what was happening. A loud crash filled my ears. The world moved like it was shaking. I felt a strong pain. Then everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I saw a blue ceiling. I heard a slow beeping sound. I smelled medicine and something cold. I did not know where I was. Then I understood. I was in a hospital. Panic hit my chest. My heart felt tight. I tried to sit up, but my body hurt. I asked myself where Rosa and Daniel were. I thought maybe something bad happened to them. Fear filled my whole body. A nurse came fast when she saw me awake. She told me that my children were safe. She said they were not hurt. When I heard that, I started to cry. I cried from fear, from pain, and from relief. A few minutes later, the door opened. 2 small figures ran to me. Rosa and Daniel climbed onto the bed and hugged me. They held my hands and cried. I hugged them as tightly as I could. I kissed their heads again and again. I thanked God they were safe. Then the doctor came. His face was serious. He told me that my leg was broken. He said I needed surgery and many weeks of rest. My heart dropped. Rest was not something I could afford. I told him I had work. I told him I had rent to pay. I told him I had 2 children to take care of. He looked sad but told me I needed to heal first. Then more bad news came. The cleaning tools I borrowed were destroyed in the accident. I also damaged the front of a very expensive store. They said I owed $25,000. When I heard the number, I felt like I was falling. I could not breathe. I could not move. How could I ever pay so much money? I already struggled every month. I felt like the world was closing around me. That night, after my children fell asleep on the small sofa in the hospital room, I cried into my pillow. I cried quietly so they would not hear me. I felt weak. I felt lost. I felt like everything in my life was breaking again. I did not know how we would live. I did not know how to keep my children safe. I felt like the future was dark. But I kept looking at Rosa and Daniel. They were sleeping with peaceful faces. They trusted me. They believed in me. So I wiped my tears. I told myself I had to stay strong. I had to find a way to survive. I did not know what tomorrow would bring, but I knew I had to fight for my children. They were the reason I was still alive. Before I continue rest of the story, please like, subscribe, share, and tell me where you are listening from. Your support means a lot to me. Now let's continue. The next morning, I woke up early. My leg hurt a lot, and I could not move it without pain. The room was quiet. Rosa and Daniel were still sleeping on the small sofa. They looked so calm. I wished I could give them a better life. I wished I could give them a warm home, good food, and a future without fear. But at that moment, I could not even stand up. I felt weak and worried. I felt like I had failed as a mother. A nurse came in to check on me. She asked if I needed water or food. I thanked her and tried to smile. She looked at me with sad eyes. She knew I was scared. She told me it would be okay. She told me the surgery would help me walk again. I wanted to believe her, but I felt too tired and broken. When she left the room, I closed my eyes and prayed for strength. Later that day, the doctor returned. He told me the surgery would be the next morning. I nodded, but inside I was shaking. I had never had surgery before. I was afraid of the pain. I was afraid something would go wrong. I was afraid of being away from my children. I told Rosa and Daniel about it in a soft voice. They held my hands and asked if I would be okay. I told them yes, even though I did not feel sure. I did not want them to worry. The day passed slowly. The hospital lights were bright. The halls were noisy. I felt lonely, even with my children beside me. I tried to think of something good, but my mind kept going back to the bill. $25,000. It felt like a mountain I could not climb. I wanted to cry every time I thought about it. I had no savings. I had no help. I felt like life was testing me again. In the evening, Rosa helped Daniel eat his dinner. She was only 11, but she acted like an adult. She was gentle with him. She told him stories and made him smile. Watching her, my heart hurt and warmed at the same time. She was so young, yet she carried so much. I wished she could be a child without worry. I wished she did not have to see her mother in pain. When the night came, Rosa and Daniel lay down on the sofa again. Rosa covered Daniel with her jacket and then lay beside him. She whispered something to him. I could not hear it, but I knew it was something sweet and kind. When they fell asleep, I looked at them for a long time. I felt proud of them. I felt thankful for them. They were my strength. The next morning came fast. Nurses came to take me for the surgery. I did not want to leave my children, but I had no choice. Rosa held my hand tightly. Daniel hugged my arm. I kissed them both and told them to be brave. I told them I would come back soon. Then the nurses pushed my bed out of the room. I watched my children until I could not see them anymore. My heart felt heavy. The surgery took a long time. When I woke up, my leg felt even heavier, but the doctor said the operation was good. I would need many weeks to heal. I would need help, crutches, and rest. When they took me back to my room, Rosa and Daniel ran to me. They held my hands. They asked if I was okay. I smiled at them because seeing their faces felt like light in a dark room. Days passed in the hospital. I could not walk. I could not work. We ate simple food from the hospital cafeteria. My children spent their days reading old books and watching the rain outside the window. I felt guilty that they had to stay there with me. The nurses were kind, but the room was small. I wanted to take my children home, but I did not know how we would live. Then something strange happened. One morning, the nurse came in with her phone in her hand. She told me that someone had shared my story online. Someone had written about my hard life, the accident, and my 2 children. People were reading about us. I felt shy and a little scared. I did not know who wrote the story. I did not know what people would say. But then messages began to come. People asked how they could help. Some sent warm words. Some sent small amounts of money. Some told me to stay strong. I was shocked. I did not expect it. I did not understand why strangers cared about me and my children. I felt a soft warmth in my chest. It was a feeling I had not felt in a long time. It was hope. Later that day, my phone rang. I did not know the number. When I answered, I heard a deep voice. It was gentle but strong. The man said he heard my story. He said he wanted to help. My heart beat fast. I did not know if I should trust him. I asked who he was. He said I would see him soon. Then he hung up. I sat there staring at the phone. I did not know what to think. 2 days passed. I did not hear from him again. I tried not to hope too much. Many people make promises and never return. I told myself to stay calm. I told myself not to expect anything. But deep inside, a small part of me wished he would come. Then one afternoon, the door opened. A group of people walked in. They carried flowers, food, warm clothes, and toys for my children. I was surprised and confused. Rosa and Daniel looked excited. A young man stepped forward. He had kind eyes and a warm smile. He said his name was Mark. He said he was the one who called me. He said he wanted to help because he heard my story. He said he could not ignore it. I felt tears in my eyes. I asked Mark why he wanted to help us. He said it was because he could. He said he believed that everyone needs help sometimes. His words touched me. I felt my heart soften. I felt like maybe life was giving me a little light again. Mark and his team paid all my hospital bills. They told me not to worry about the money. They told me to focus on healing and taking care of my children. I cried again, but this time the tears were warm. I thanked them again and again. Rosa and Daniel hugged him. They gave him small smiles. He laughed softly and told them everything would be okay. For the first time in many years, I felt free from fear, even if only for a moment. I did not know what would happen next, but for the first time, I felt that maybe good things were coming our way. A few weeks later, I was able to stand with crutches. My legs still hurt, but I was getting better. Rosa helped me move around the room. Daniel carried small things for me. They tried their best to make me smile. I felt proud of them. I felt lucky to have them. Even in the hardest days, they gave me hope. One morning, Mark came to the hospital again. He brought a warm smile and a kind voice. He asked if I was feeling better. I told him I was trying. He looked at my children and gave them small books and snacks. They thanked him in soft voices. He laughed and told them they were strong and brave. Then Mark turned to me. He said he wanted to show me something. I was confused. I did not know what he meant. He spoke to the nurse and asked if I could leave for a short time. The nurse agreed as long as I used my crutches. My heart beat faster. I did not know what was happening. Mark drove us in a big car. Rosa sat beside me and held my hand. Daniel sat near the window and looked outside with wide eyes. The sky was bright and the air was fresh. I felt nervous. I felt excited. I felt afraid of hoping too much. After some time, the car stopped in front of a house. It was a large house with a small garden. The walls were clean and white. The windows were big and shiny. I stared at it without speaking. I wondered why we were there. Mark stood beside me and said, "This is your home now." I thought I did not hear him right. I asked him to say it again. He smiled and repeated the words. He said the house was for me and my children. No rent, no fear, no worry. My legs felt weak. I almost fell even with my crutches. Rosa covered her mouth. Daniel's eyes grew wide. I could not stop my tears. I asked him why he would do something so big. He said I had suffered too much for too long. He said I deserved a safe place. He said my children deserved peace. I cried like I had not cried in years. I fell to my knees on the grass. Even though it hurt, my children hugged me and cried too. They touched the door. They looked at the garden. They walked inside. The house felt new and warm. The rooms were bright. The floors were clean. It felt like a dream. For the first time in a very long time, I felt safe. In the next months, my legs slowly healed. I learned how to walk again. I went to checkups at the hospital. Rosa and Daniel went back to school. They made new friends. They had space to play. They laughed more. They slept better. They felt free. Mark visited us many times. He brought food, books, and sometimes flowers. One day he sat with me in the living room. He asked me a simple question. He said, "What is your dream?" I did not know how to answer. No one had asked me that in many years. I thought for a moment. Then I said I had always wanted to open a small salon. I liked cutting hair and helping people feel good. Mark smiled. He said he could help me start it. And he did. He helped me find a small place. He helped me buy chairs, mirrors, and tools. Soon I opened my own salon. I worked with joy. I felt proud. I felt strong. Now we have a home. We have a future. We have hope again. My life is not perfect, but it is full of peace and light. And I learned something important. Even in the darkest moments, a small act of kindness can change everything. Thank you for listening to this story. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video and subscribe to English Medium Stories. Stay with us for more classic stories in easy English.